Good morning. Welcome back to Seeing the World Through Trifocals with your host, Eileen Wasore. I was reading a book last week. It wasn't the Bible, but it was a book about the fruit of the Spirit. It seems that everyone has a different interpretation of what the various writers of the Bible really meant when they listed these spiritual produce. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. But you know, they call it fruit for a reason. We would love to believe that God would someday send the angel Michael to our door with a gift basket of fruit and a note saying, "There you go, you made it. Enjoy them all. Love God." No, just like real orchard-type fruit, spiritual fruit is something that has to grow, ripen, and then finally is harvested. And as much as I hate to say it, sometimes some of that fruit just isn't in our basket. After all, it isn't the gifts of the Spirit. That's a whole different subject. Apples, oranges, peaches, plums don't appear overnight fully mature and ready to eat. And neither does spiritual fruit. I wish it did. But it takes cultivating, nurturing, watering, sometimes even fertilizing, and lots of day-to-day hard work before it can be enjoyed and shared. Also, and here's the kicker in my opinion, note I said opinion, not educated revelation, there is one fruit that got left out. Continuing my agricultural, scriptural comparison, I must say that the missing fruit is best represented as a prune. Yeah, I said prune. Now, obviously a prune is not a fruit of the Spirit, but it definitely could be the poster child for a very real spiritual fruit. You see, I am grateful for Prune. In fact, I've had a special relationship with them for many years. I bet you never thought you could be grateful for a small, wrinkled, problem-solving, and often misunderstood piece of fruit. Sort of like my hero, Maxine. I wonder if it was just a coincidence that my maiden name was Maxie. But anyway, why not be grateful for a prune? Why not be grateful for an outspoken cartoon? Why not be grateful for the good, the bad, and the ugly? If indeed God made everything, then everything has a purpose. Oh yes, maybe the devil messed around with some of it. I think he turned the apple into a crab apple. But again, in my humble but vocal opinion, people today spend too much time being deserving instead of grateful. Grateful is the spiritual gift I would love to see added to this special biblical fruit basket. I looked up in the dictionary and it said that grateful is showing an appreciation of kindness, being thankful. Now, kindness is a spiritual fruit, but isn't it just as important to be grateful for the kindnesses shown to us? Is it so hard to say thank you, or even acknowledge with a smile when someone does something nice? I'm 70-ish, and when someone holds the door for me, I appreciate it. I don't take it as if, oh, you're too old to do it yourself, or you're a woman, therefore weak. No, it says someone gave up a minute of their life to do something nice. I appreciated it when I was 40 years younger. At the same time, I've seen people, usually much younger, cut me off, keep right on walking as if they deserved the door holder's action. As they brushed past me, all I could think of was what they deserved was a swat on the britches. But I'm afraid to do it because I'm afraid their pants might fall off. Don't think that I haven't thought of pulling them off, but then that wouldn't be very kind, would it? As our children were growing up, we felt it was very important to emphasize gratefulness as much as kindness. In fact, our youngest daughter gave me a cross stitch she had sewn for me and signed it, Lisa the Grateful. It was then that I realized my nagging, say thank you, had worked. I remember how at Christmas, when our children were very young, their great-grandmother couldn't afford very much, but she sold Avon products. The children would laugh all the way to her house in anticipation of what they would receive this year. I was so proud when my 10-year-old son unwrapped an Avon coloring book as his present. He said, "Thank you, Grandma," and gave her a big hug. The girls usually got some old lady rose-scented soap or bubble bath. They likewise were grateful. When we took the family on mission to the island of Curacao, the beautiful people there wanted to show their appreciation for our visiting them. And the missionaries who lived there said that the meals that these people insisted on serving us many times would have fed their whole families for the week. We were never sure what we were eating, but we taught the children to never ask what it was. Eat it with a smile, and we'll find a McDonald's on the way home if we have to. They did just that. It's hard to be grateful, but because you don't particularly feel that the kindness is genuine. Sometimes it's hard to be grateful because you don't feel that the kindness is really genuine. They teach us down here in the South that if you say, "Bless her heart," you can say anything else about it, and it's okay. Bill's mother, bless her heart, became known as Grandma No-No. The reason was each year she would insist on taking the children shopping for school clothes. But everything they selected, she replied, "Oh, you don't want that." Now, note, they were in Walmart, not Neiman Marcus, so it wasn't a money issue. I realized, though, that she had been doing this all her life because one day after my husband told her we were going to go buy a new car, she told him that was nice, but we wanted a nice, sensible car. We didn't want anything like a Cadillac. The next day, we bought a Cadillac. I'm forever grateful to her for that because it was one of the best cars we ever had, and never would have thought about buying it if she hadn't told us we didn't want it. Whether or not the kindness was genuine, the thought was there. And I think you demonstrate a higher level of gratefulness under those kind of circumstances. I worked in television for 30 years, and I understand the value of commercials. Without commercials, there would be no free television, and though most people pay unrealistic prices for 150 channels hoping to find 7 or 8 that they can actually watch, free over-the-air television is still available. But you've got commercials. The quality and content of most commercials today actually justify fast-forwarding through them, or using that 2-minute, 4-second network airtime for a potty break option. But once in a while comes along a gem. One of my favorite commercials shows a young man on a skateboard who falls off, and a stranger helps him gather his stuff. Because he's fallen off and stopped, the boy sees an elderly woman in front of him with an armload of groceries, and she's dropped an item. He picks it up, carries her groceries, and helps her across the street. She then sees someone trying to find a coin for a parking meter and hands her a coin to use. The lady who got the coin sees a man drop something out of his pocket. She picks it up and gives it to him. He sees a man trying to get a heavy suitcase out of a car by himself and helps him. That man sees a hungry person sitting on the sidewalk and buys him a hot dog from a hot dog wagon. When the vendor sees what he intends to do with the hot dog, he gives him a bottle of water to go with the food. The homeless man who received the hot dog sees a young girl drop her phone, and he runs after her to return it. She sees a lovely lady at a restaurant, a lonely lady, and buys a bouquet of flowers from a street vendor and hands it to her. The vendor who witnessed her act gave her a single rose. And it goes on. It's a real tearjerker, but it's a real truth. An act of kindness is never complete until it's passed on. The true act of kindness was when the young man fell off his skateboard and someone helped him. But it was the act of gratefulness that carried it forward. Do an act of kindness today, and remembering the prune, pass it on through your fruit of gratefulness. No, I'm not a spry chick anymore, but this old hen appreciates a quote by James N. Watkins. He says, "There is no way I'm going to age gracefully, but I do hope to age gratefully." Now go and check your garden. What fruit is in your orchard? Think about it. See you next time.